Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. Today we've got some huge leaks for the Ahsoka show. This comes from MakingStarWars.net, and I'm calling all fans of Star Wars Rebels. As you guys know, I've always been the biggest fan of Star Wars Rebels, and as such, the Ahsoka show is a beacon of hope, continuing the stories of Hera Syndulla, Sabine Wren, Ezra, Thrawn, and of course Ahsoka Tano herself. But now we have another huge reveal. Loth Wolves are going to appear in the show, and more specifically, Making Star Wars heard that Dume, that gigantic wolf Ezra spoke to, which is connected to Kanan's Force ghost, is going to appear as well. Super exciting stuff. Let's dive into the report. Exclusive, Ahsoka brings the wolf into live action. They say one of Dave Filoni's inspirations for Ahsoka Tano was a character named San from Studio Ghibli's Princess Mononoke. The character San rides a wolf, and as we've seen over the years, Dave Filoni is a big fan of wolves and putting them in Star Wars. He even named his own character from The Mandalorian, Trapper Wolf. But the most prolific appearance of wolves came in Star Wars Rebels, and now the tradition continues in the Ahsoka show, this time in live action. In 2023, so this year, probably over the summer, we're going to see Ahsoka's journey continue, and it's going to involve some Loth Wolves. Sources on the Ahsoka project told Making Star Wars the effect is not unlike what they did for The Rise of Skywalker for the Orbaks. For those animals, horses had to be dressed up to play the creatures, just like elephants played banthas, and likewise the production on Ahsoka used real horses to stand in for the giant wolves. This way the motion of the actor as they ride the horse and feeling like being on something alive translates on screen and doesn't require them to simulate it like Ewan McGregor had to do on his EOP in Revenge of the Sith. They say Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka wears a white cloak, rides a horse, which is gonna stand in for a large Star Wars sized dog, and of course he means a Loth Wolf. They say the results were apparently very impressive, and one source said there was talk of building a puppet, like the wolf from the Neverending Story, for the articulated head in some shots, but he says they never got confirmation if they went that far with it, but he thinks they did. Now, over the years, we've seen a lot of unused concept art for Loth Wolves, and in one of them, we see Ahsoka and Captain Rex riding them. Are we going to see Rex in this show? Could this be a sign? He says, I'm under the impression it was specifically a Loth Wolf, and more specifically, Dume. As we saw in the Star Wars Celebration photo, Filoni recreated the painting from the end of Star Wars Rebels in live action. That painting shows Loth Wolves, and they think it's the same design we're going to see in the show, but they can't help but wonder if the design translates well, particularly due to the skeletal structures of horses and wolves, the differences between them, but he says, I guess it does, because those who've seen it were very impressed. Making Star Wars also say that in a way, Kanan is in the show, from a certain point of view of course, due to the connection between Caleb Dume, Kanan's real name, and Dume the Wolf, because they are connected in the Force. But could we see Freddie Prinze Jr. as Kanan's ghost? Could there be a flashback of sorts, or allusions to him beyond this? The report also says there is still no word on Zeb Orellios, and I'm starting to think they're not going to include him. When the character was conceived about 9 years ago, they never imagined Zeb would come into live action. He was designed for the animation style of Rebels. But we have seen Lasat in Jedi Fallen Order, so the design could work in live action, but maybe he's off doing something else and he doesn't play into this story, and maybe it just didn't make logistical sense to have him in this show. But I've got to say, my dear friends, this is huge. We've already seen Lothcats in The Mandalorian, and now it's time for the wolves, specifically Dume and his pack. I've got to tell you guys, and I'm not sure how unpopular this is going to sound, but I'm really excited for more CGI Star Wars. I know for Mando and Mando related shows, they like to go practical with the OG style. They did use CGI a couple of times, especially for the Hutts and the Rancor, even some Grogu sequences, but for the Ahsoka show, they're leaning into it more, and in my opinion, for a Star Wars Rebels continuation, a sequel to that show, that's going to work perfectly. Now, I've been covering the Ahsoka show for quite some time, all the rumours, all the leaks and reports, but one character I really want to see is Gooti Terez, who is named after Andy Gutierrez, who asked Dave Filoni at Star Wars Celebration if the pink feline from Iron Squadron is going to make an appearance in live action in the Ahsoka show. As you would expect, Dave Filoni did not want to answer. Fingers crossed, I would love to see a lot of these characters. So what to make of these leaks? There have been so many of them over the last few months. I've got to say, compared to The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, the Ahsoka show sounds very ambitious, and I really love when Star Wars takes off in a new direction. We're gonna see some fantasy, some space opera, some other genres within sci-fi, and I think that's so exciting. The world between worlds, seeing Anakin again, Obi-Wan hopefully. And I saw a couple of folks online point out that this is all Dave Filoni. Jon Favreau is not interested in this kind of thing. He's got a very different vision for Star Wars. I'm sure he worked on the show in some capacity, but this is Dave Filoni's vision, the culmination of all of his masterpieces. You know, we've spoken about the various shows on Disney Plus, how all of this is a smorgasbord of various flavors, various varieties of Star Wars. I think Ahsoka is going to be a very juicy and tasty one. It branches out into Skeleton Crew, some connections with the Mandalorian, and I also believe it's going to set up the next phase of the Mandoverse, the Mandalorian Season 4, Ghost Track 17, and whatever else might come. We've often spoken about Star Wars Celebration and how we're probably going to get some movie announcements, but it's also a fantastic way to showcase and platform the next stage of this story. But we've got to have those shows first to really understand the direction. But Ahsoka's panning out to be really exciting. I really can't wait. As I say, we don't have a release date just yet, probably sometime in the summer or fall of this year. And given that Skeleton Crew is probably not going to release until 2024 due to production issues, I think the Ahsoka show has more time to breathe. My prediction is that it's going to be the biggest show of 2023. What do you guys think? Share your thoughts of this in the comments down below. And so finally, my dear friends, staying on the subject of Star Wars Rebels and the Ahsoka show, there is a deleted scene from Star Wars Rebels that never made it into the show. Now, I've always said I think Bendu should come into live action. He's one of the most awesome concepts the show gave us, the one in the middle, not light, not dark, and in a way he's got connections to the original Jedi Order. They were the ones on Tython before the Jedi. Well, there's an interaction between Bendu and Ahsoka I think should come into the show. They should really include it. This is how the conversation goes. So Bendu says, "You are set on this confrontation then?" Ahsoka replies, "I have to know the truth." Bendu replies, "So be it, but understand this, much will change as a result of this encounter, including you." Ahsoka replies, "Isn't that true of all things as time advances?" Bendu says, "My dear, when I say change, I mean death." Ahsoka says, "So I will die?" And Bendu replies, "Will you? I didn't know that. Goodbye then, Ahsoka Tano, former Jedi Knight." Now for context, Dave Filoni says this encounter took place at the end of the episode The Mystery of Chopper Base. So basically in season 2, just before Ahsoka, Kanan and Ezra head for Malachor. Of their conversation, the dialogue sounds very intriguing, and I think Bendu should talk to Ahsoka in her own show, probably before she enters the world between worlds, where she gets to see what happened on Mustafar between Anakin and Obi-Wan. Share your thoughts on this idea in the comments down below, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to also give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you always.